Your first impression with a game is critical. Most of the time, you don't have a chance to try out a new release before putting some money down, and there's always a little anxiety just before you press play. Sometimes this anticipation is fueled by fans and your friends. How many times have you been told to try this life-changing game, getting your hype through the roof only to come out the other side feeling lukewarm? Expectations can be a death sentence. Some games need more time to settle in and work their magic. Sometimes you need to be neck deep in the process for it all to finally click. That's what I want to talk about today. Every title in this video had something nagging at me to the point where I thought I was going to quit playing, and somehow they've become my favorite titles. Also, this is a good chance to talk about a few of my favorite games without having to make a giant video geeking over them. Naturally, we start with Dark Souls.
Yes, indeed.
Like most dorks on the internet, I love Dark Souls, but this is a recent revelation for me. I only sat down and beat this game a year ago. The time leading up to that moment was filled with many attempts to beat this little gem. Usually, I would have a friend tell me about how amazing Dark Souls is without ever explaining so they wouldn't spoil anything. This would lead to me going to their place to sit down and try for myself. I must have played up to the Taurus Demon 5 different times, and I would always feel frustrated by how obtuse and spiteful it all felt. Last fall, I had a friend over Discord ask me if I'd ever played Dark Souls, and I jumped into my usual, "Oh, I've tried it many times, but it's just not a game for me" spiel. But to my surprise, he actually meant that he hadn't played it and was thinking about picking up the remaster while it was on sale. Sure enough, that game was listed for $14, and I decided it was worth one more shot to see if I can finally understand what everyone was talking about. The game arrived on a Sunday, and I beat it that Friday. I played Dark Souls like a full-time job. I realized the issue I had was playing the game in a social setting. That's no disrespect to the other people. All my friends were super positive, trying to help me while still keeping the surprises and secrets hidden. It wasn't until I was by myself to take my time to stumble around and figure out what I liked that I started to understand what was so magic about this game. The entire world is connected, like a Metroid map cast into 3 dimensions. You constantly loop back to the initial checkpoints. After you avoid this dragon, you can find this little cove. You just beat a boss, so you're on high alert, begging for a bonfire. Kicking this ladder down takes you to the ground floor, and bam! Right back to the bonfire you lit so long ago. This game is filled with moments like this, being so deep into the world, nervously clutching at your souls only to have the landscape open up and realize exactly where you are. A beautiful give and take of danger and relief. You know, I wouldn't even say the difficulty is particularly high. It's a game that doesn't waver in its style. It's built so meticulously to be experienced a certain way that it has to be respected in order to make progress. Once you realize the laws of the land, you start to vibe with how everything flows together and start to understand one of the greatest games ever made. It wasn't until a month after I beat this game that I realized there was a whole world in this painting that they never tell you about. You have to go all the way back to the starting area to find this doll, optionally get wrecked by this Black Knight, and then take it back to the castle to fight off these art majors just to get to this content. This is a perfect example of the level of design that goes into this game. They are totally willing to let you miss entire areas with brand new content. I imagine most people will only stumble onto this after they finish the game and look up what they missed, just a treat for those that are looking for a second helping. By the time the credits rolled, I found myself reaching out to everyone I knew that I thought would love the story, only to face the same response I used to give to my friends when they were trying to get me into the series, which I felt was a just reward. If you're watching this and feel the same way that Dark Souls just isn't for you and you've tried a couple of times, I genuinely hope this example sheds a little light as to why people care so much about this. It's not that people want to see you suffer on a difficult game, it's that they want you to find the gem hidden within. Now, this is more a cautionary tale about avoiding an experience without any real reason. The first Resident Evil game I started with was RE5, and I absolutely loved it. After taking some time to figure out this control type that was brand new to me, I thought it was an awesome adventure through all these creepy locations with ridiculous action set pieces. What really sold me on this game was the co-op feature. Playing through with a buddy, trading health sprays and ammos, always tactically instructing where we needed to be on the harder bosses. This was my favorite co-op experience just up until Portal 2. Unfortunately, this was soured by the game's reception at the time. It's not scary, the story is stupid, a huge setback for the franchise. See, I was 14 at the time, so people's opinions really mattered. The whole time I read these detractors, the main argument would always come back to how it compared to Resident Evil 4. So I looked into it. I didn't know anything about the previous RE games, so what did this title have that 5 didn't? All I saw was a GameCube game with silly dialogue all focused around one big escort quest. It was then that I decided everyone must be lost in nostalgia and were unable to accept a true successor to the franchise. Like a pot yelling at a kettle, I thought they were blind, unable or unwilling to see the good in a new experience. A decade later, Resident Evil 4 came to the Switch eShop with a slick discount. I figured it was worth $12 to finally see what everyone was talking about back then. Worst case, I would at least know that I was right in my assumption of this game. Resident Evil 4 is an absolute masterpiece. The pacing is perfectly tuned to get you into the atmosphere. The slow progression of guns and upgrades constantly makes you feel like you're growing stronger, resisting an unimaginable threat that you face. The environment constantly changes to new, complex locations. You always feel like you're coming into a new place that is expertly designed to be fun and scary to explore. Puzzles fit naturally into their setting and constantly keep you on watch for any clue that might open up to secret areas. The writing is straight out of a B-movie, and I fell in love with the hokey humor paired with the increasingly ridiculous events that progress the main story.
I've sent my right hand to dispose of you.
Your right hand comes off?
It was in this writing that I saw how this game is so much more than a good experience, but a staple of the video game world. This isn't to say that 5 is bad by any means. I played through it recently with a friend of mine, and all the fun of tactical action is still worth diving into. I just finally understand what the issue was all those years ago. It's to compare a king to a god. So, fun fact, Super Mario Odyssey is my favorite game, and I still have a hard time admitting that. Originally, this video was just gonna be me talking about my conflicting feelings for this title. For about 2 years, this was the game that I would always come back to if I just wanted to chill out and unwind. I love every world, the variety of moons to go after, but most of all, I love the movement. I have never played a game that controlled so perfectly. Everything is built around this jump and hat throw in action, and it makes it such an amazing time just to navigate the landscape. I've completely finished this game, and I've played through it from scratch more times than I can count. So what's the problem? I'm stoked every time I pick this game up, and it's given me dozens of hours of fun. What's wrong with that? Once again, the problem is me. Before Odyssey, the rank of my favorite game would always be something I was excited to tell other people about. The characters in New Vegas, the insane story of Undertale. There was always something that I could show to other people to say, look at this game. This is a reflection of what I find important. It's like a sports movie where the scrappy underdog team has to go against the evil rich team and show them that all their money doesn't mean anything when it comes to heart and passion. Odyssey is like the evil team winning in the end because they had the better equipment all along. Of course it's the best game. It's Nintendo. It's Mario. They've been doing this for decades. How is a scrappy indie game going to compare to that level of precise control and design? The movement is so good that I can't even enjoy games like Sunshine or Galaxy because I don't have that stupid hat. How could my favorite game have nearly no story? I've always loved the writing of a game the most, and now the title wearing the best game crown literally uses emojis to get the story across to the children playing along with me. I was wrong about everything. art never mattered. I have failed. I was explaining this to a friend of mine, and he calmly asked me to pull my head out of my ass. I am completely projecting myself onto a Mario game that never pretended to be anything more than a fun time. I realized that a video focused on this would just be me caught up in my silly feelings about a game that I love to play. It doesn't matter what other games do differently when this game nails everything it sets out to do. I still love the more complex indie darlings that push the boundaries of what a video game can do, but at the end of the day, a game is made to be fun. I shouldn't ask any experience like this to try to be something it's not. And on that note, it's not really fair to say any game is my favorite when every experience attempts to do something unique. All the games in this video set out to accomplish different things. It's not something you can truly put a number on. But sometimes, a game can be so important that it leaves the boundaries of the world it's crafted and becomes a staple of how I live my life. There's one game that's this important, and I hope you don't mind if I get a little personal. When it comes to Smash Bros, you have to understand that I grew up with a Nintendo 64. I didn't own a GameCube until I was in my 20s. I still remember spending hours playing against the CPU on a TV that looks like this. Boy, that's an aesthetic! So, a million years later, I pick up a GameCube from a yard sale along with a few games. It wasn't until I got home that I realized a copy of Melee was inside the machine. I already knew a couple of people that loved this game to death, so I gave it a go. I'll tell you, I did not like it at all. I felt like the extra buttons made it more obtuse than the original game, and every input I tried felt so non-intuitive. Playing on an early flat screen meant everything was delayed by a solid half a second, and I just assumed it was another case of childhood nostalgia from the kids that grew up with a GameCube. Now, this all changed when I moved into a new house with a certified champion of Smash, Connor. If he was any more laid back, he would be on the floor. It only took bringing up Surfin' or Nintendo to start up a wonderful conversation. Like any good college housing, we had a copy of Melee ready to go. I treated it the same way I would with any of those party games, just mashing buttons while hanging out. But Connor here, he could beat all of us in a 3-on-1 fight and not even break a sweat. The way he could control his character was unlike anything I'd seen before. Every move rhymed with the last. So many decisions made in milliseconds. I knew that there had to be more to this game. One afternoon, I asked him to tell me more about this game, and his eyes lit up with excitement. From this point on, it was match after match, videos about Mango and Westballs. I could not believe the amount of information that surrounded this game. So, did I turn into a Smash god? Not even close. Are you watching the footage right now? But it did quickly become one of the most important games in my life. When I finished school, I decided to move to a new city, finally leaving the state I spent my whole life in. I had no money, no job, no friends outside of my family, and I was sleeping on a door covered in pillows at my sister's apartment and working a job at a gnarly restaurant. One day I was working with one of the guys that actually went to school for cooking, and we got into talking about video games, particularly Smash Bros. This opened the floor to everyone else working in the kitchen to boast about how amazing they were at Melee, which now needed to be proven. Through the world of Smash Bros, I was able to make my first friends in this new environment, which finally helped me get a hold of the whole adult life thing. I'm happy to say that I don't sleep on a door anymore, and I have a job that's actually based around what I studied in school. But to this day, I will still jump at the chance to play Melee or Ultimate with someone I want to know more about. The way someone plays Smash says a lot about them without a single word. It also gives you something to talk about when you don't know anything about each other. I don't know how my life would be without this game, and I still look to it with the fondness of an old friend. Melee isn't just a great game, it's a staple of my life. Each game here means so much to me both in playing and how it affects my life. At the end of the day, I really wanted to make this video to hopefully connect with some of you that might have had the same initial negativity I had. I only hope that this will persuade you to try them again. No game is perfect, but every experience offers its own world of possibility. I only hope to try more games from my past I may not have understood, to truly give them a chance to shine. So, special shoutouts to Happy, Josh Holtz, and Tyler. Thank you so much for being a patron to the channel. If you are interested in these videos and want to get your name in the credits and help me out a little bit, please consider checking out my Patreon. I'm really happy to be able to get this video done. I've been very busy the past couple of weeks, and I have a couple of scripts in the work, so we should be seeing more content here soon. But for now, thank you so much for your patience, and I can't wait to see you in the next one.